guys, I'm Aveline and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So today we are building a microhome and I've not built a microhome before. Well, I think this might possibly be the smallest tiny house that I've ever built on the channel. I've built one or a couple of tiny houses that were pretty close to this one. So for example, my teen mom tiny house that I did in July or was that in June? It might have been in June. And then also the student's tiny house that I did actually the same week as the teen mom tiny house. Those two were about the same size as this one, but they didn't actually count as tiny houses, or not as tiny houses, but as microhomes, because I did go back into my gallery and changed all my tiny houses so they're actually tiny lot residentials. So, but I don't think they actually counted as tiny homes. So I wanted to build a proper tiny home with the new pack, and that is what we're doing today. I was really excited to build this, by the way, because it feels very different to build tiny houses with the new restrictions. So you kind of have to make sure that for a microhome you're under 32 tiles, and I've never really had those restrictions before. I've never set specific limits to how big the house can be. I just kind of went with it, and then if the house turned out to be small enough to be called a tiny house, I would call it that. Other than that, I would just call it a small home. But it feels different to build with these restrictions. It's kind of fun. Like it's a bit of an extra challenge, and I do love a challenge, so I had quite a lot of fun with this one. I feel like I should have probably built the house from the inside out instead of deciding what I wanted the exterior to look like and then moved on to the inside, because figuring out a layout for everything, I knew that I wanted this to be for a single parent and also a kid or a teen. So I knew that I wanted the child, to live in or to sleep in a room by themselves, and then the parent could sleep in the living room. So I kind of knew that I wanted to do it like that. However, I wasn't really sure where to put the child's bedroom and also where to put the kitchen and stuff. So I feel like I should have probably built this from the inside out just to make sure that the layout of the house was fine before I started doing the exterior properly. So that was a little bit of an issue. I kind of messed up there, but we're all good. The bathroom is only 2 tiles. I do want to give a shout out to my very good friend, Simarki, aka Stephanie. So she posted a picture on Twitter where she'd made this like 1 tile bathroom. I decided to go with 2 tiles instead of just 1 tile because I did want the bathroom to be closed off. I wanted there to be a door. And I also did not put a sink in the bathroom. So there's a sink in the kitchen. There's none in the bathroom, but everything in the bathroom works just fine. It's all functional. I did not put a toilet paper roll in there because I felt like I used the open shower stall from Discover University, and the toilet is right next to the shower stall. So in my mind, I'm like, if they shower, the toilet paper roll would be completely wet, and that's just ew. So I didn't want to include that. I know it looks a little bit like there's something missing, but in my head it just really did not make any sense. I also want to point out that I did build this without using any cheats whatsoever, so the house itself is just 32 tiles. I did have to, I don't want to say cheat with the roofing, because to me this is like a necessity. You kind of have to close off the roofing like this if you want to use half walls for the roofing at least, because otherwise they're going to count as rooms because you are, making a whole square with half walls. So the game would just automatically count that as a room, and that adds to the tiles. So I had to drag the half wall kind of closed, like if you get what I mean. Like I had to close it off like that so it wouldn't count as a room. I don't see that as cheating. I see it more as like fixing. It's not really an issue to do it like that, but I feel like by standard it shouldn't be like that when you build tiny houses. The roofing should not count as tiles, you get what I mean? So I just kind of had to fix it that way, but to me it's not really cheating. That's why I'm kind of cheating, but at the same time I'm really not, so hopefully it's making some sort of sense. I just had to close the walls so it's not counting as a room, so hopefully that made sense, but if not, then let me know and I'll try to explain it in text. Hopefully it's a little bit more understandable that way. So anyways, this is for a single parent and a kid or a teen. Now you could have a single mom or a single dad. I just kind of felt like it was a little bit more decorated for a woman over a man, if that makes sense. It's a little bit more feminine compared to masculine. I don't really know what masculine interior looks like, to be honest. Like, I have no clue. So I tend to build a lot of interiors for females. That's just how my brain works, apparently. But you could definitely have a single dad living here too if you want. So just want to point that out. Like, you could have any kind of single parent living here. It's not just necessarily for a single mom. The child's room could be for either a teen or a kid. I did not leave any toys around the house though. I just want to point that out. But I also feel like the stuff in this pack doesn't necessarily fit a kid's room that well. You could turn it into a kid's room, but in my mind, I see it as more like mature stuff, so it doesn't really fit a kid's room that well, in my opinion at least. But if you just place a toy somewhere around this house, if you download it and want to play in it, you could make this for a single parent and a kid instead of a teen. So just want to point that out. Also, if you just delete the side table in the bedroom, in the smaller bedroom, or in the one bedroom in this house, you could definitely fit in like a plushie if you just size it down once or twice. Probably just once. I'm not sure that the plushies work if you size them down twice actually, so just want to point that out. Also, I did make sure to include dressers in this house. There's no closet, no wardrobe, but there are actually 2 dressers. So I always get kind of, I don't want to call it hate because it's definitely not hate. But whenever I build tiny houses and I decide to leave out dressers or closets, wardrobes, whatever you want to call those, I always get comments like, but where do they leave their clothes? But in my mind, I feel like a mirror, like gameplay wise, you don't actually need a wardrobe or a dresser. You can just use a mirror, like it's completely fine. But since I always get comments about it, I did decide to include 2 dressers in this house. So I used the very small narrow one here in the living room, and then in the small bedroom, the other one from Tiny Living is in there, so the little bit bigger one. So I suppose that the mom / the single parent also stores some of their stuff in the dresser in the bedroom, so it's not just for the kid, but they also have a dresser out here. So plenty of dressers, plenty of storage space, you know, it's all good. Just want to point that out. I did include dressers this time. I also included several mirrors. I think there is one in the small bedroom, there is one by the hallway, there's also one in the bathroom, and then other than that, I think that's about it. But three mirrors for the small house, I think that's fine, you know? So I also wanted to make sure that they had some fun in the living room at least, so I decided to, because here, first of all, I wanted there to be a desk, but then at some point it kind of hit me that they didn't necessarily need a desk. They could just place a laptop on the kitchen counter. Maybe the mom works from home or something. She can carry around the laptop in her inventory and it's completely fine. Like, you don't actually need a desk to work on a computer. You can just have a computer, laptop, whatever, on the kitchen counter. So that's a whole tile that I just kind of almost wasted on a desk. But then it hit me that I could just delete that or move it around and place a small dresser there and actually place a TV on top of the dresser. So they do have a very, very small TV, but they can sit on the couch and then look at the TV and get their fun up that way. And also, if they don't want to watch TV together, one of them can play on the computer and get their fun up in that way instead. I think, do Sims also get fun from swimming in a swimming pool? I'm not actually sure, but if they do, there is also a nicely sized swimming pool in the backyard. I also completely forgot to say this at the start of the video, but we are building in Oasis Springs and we're building on a 20 by 15. So there's a couple of 20 by 15s in Oasis Springs actually. There's 2 in the more deserty area, so the sandy area. The lots are completely covered by sand, so I didn't want to build on those. I wanted to build somewhere with grass. I was considering either building on this lot, which I ended up building on, or the 30 by 20 on the other side of the road, but I felt like for a micro house, maybe a 30 by 20 was a little bit too big anyways, so I just wanted to make sure that I had plenty of space for landscaping, and I also wanted to make sure that they had room for a car next to the house. So this 20 by 15 turned out to be just fine, plenty of space. They have a nice backyard, which is not really a proper backyard, but more like everything is covered by tiles, but still, they have a pool over in the corner. It's nice size, and also an outdoors kitchen actually with a dining area and a couple of lounge chairs, another lounge area, so plenty of space in the backyard. It's definitely like landscaping wise, it does help a little bit when you're building houses because you just have so much space. Like even on a 20 by 15, which is a very small lot, you still end up with so much free space that you can just do whatever with the landscaping. So I don't know why the first house that I built with this pack was on a 64 by 64. What was I thinking? But I do like how that house turned out though, and I had a lot of fun with the landscaping, but still, why did I start out with a 64 by 64? What's wrong with me? Anyways, so this is the child/teen's bedroom. I definitely, maybe you see what I mean. Like I feel like it's definitely more for a teen compared to a child. There's no like kids posters in here, no toys, no, I don't know, anything kid related except from that little My Sims statue. But I feel like teens could also have those. Adults could also have those. They kind of remind me of Funko Pop a little bit, and I have a pair of Funko Pop, maybe more than a pair, behind me, so it's definitely not just for kids, basically. And also in here, you see me playtesting just a little bit. I always playtest as I'm building when I'm building tiny houses, so today is no exception. It's just to make sure that I don't have to, because usually, so if I playtest, I always do it before I take screenshots. So when it comes to tiny houses, I just want to do it as I'm building to make sure that I don't have to make drastic changes and suddenly you get to the screenshots and you're like, this doesn't really look like the house we just saw you make. So I just want to make sure that everything, like you see me make everything on cam for these kinds of houses, these small houses. So I don't have to make big changes, but everything should be playable. I did play test the kitchen, the Murphy bed, the small bedroom, and also the bathroom. So I don't really see anything else I should probably, like anything else that would cause issues. Maybe the bookcase, but like I don't really know why that would be an issue. I placed a plant on the bookcase, so if the bookcase is blocked, it would be because of the plant. So just delete that. But other than that, everything should be fine. I also play tested the lounge chairs, lounge area, the pool, and I think that's about it. So it should be fully, like, it should be fine. So technically, if you're building micro houses, you don't actually need to put a kitchen in the house. You could just place a kitchen outside. That includes a dining area as well. So you could technically have a whole lot more space inside the house, but I feel like that's also a little bit cheaty. So I just wanted to make sure that everything inside the walls of the house would be fully playable. So you wouldn't have to, in the way that you wouldn't have to rely on anything in the backyard or the front yard or, I don't know, around the neighborhood. So I just wanted to make sure that just in case, you know, it's winter and there's a blizzard outside, your Sims don't have to walk to the backyard to cook their dinner, for example. I wanted to make sure that that didn't happen. So you don't have to use the backyard kitchen. You don't have to use the kitchen here, the outdoors kitchen. You can just use whatever's inside the house, but it does feel nice to have a little bit of extra space in the backyard, not gonna lie. But I still didn't want to just take advantage of that and end up cheating. So everything inside the house is enough, but they do have extra space here in the backyard. So there's a nice lounge area over here, the pool, the lounge chairs, the dining area over here, and also the kitchen. I'm sitting here looking at the top view. So, you know, at the end of the video, I always include a picture where I basically just look at the house from above so you can see the layout of the house and also, you know, the backyard and stuff. I'm looking at that picture when I'm doing my voiceovers so that I can keep track of where I put everything and the layout, and also just in case I forget like a clutter piece or something that I placed, which wouldn't surprise me. But I'm just looking at that. I'm like, the house is so tiny on this lot and we're building on a 20 by 15. The house is just so small. I did take advantage of all the 32 tiles. I could have left out 2 tiles, but I decided not to. I just wanted to make sure that I had as much, I don't know, as much space as possible. So it is a fully like 32 micro home. I could definitely have built it smaller. Let me know if you want to see more micro homes, by the way, and also what themes you want for them, because I'm definitely up for making more of them. It's super fun just trying to figure out the layout without expanding the build and, you know, all that stuff, it's a bit of an extra challenge. I'm up for doing it again, so definitely let me know if it's something you want to see more of. And also give me some theme ideas if it is something you want to see more of. So I think for the rest of the video, we're basically just doing landscaping actually. So we are building in Oasis Springs, and to me, for some reason, doing landscaping in Oasis Springs is always a little bit of a struggle. I think it's because I like to just go overboard with flowers and stuff. When I'm building in Willow Creek, I go crazy with plants and flowers. You've probably seen that before. But when it comes to Oasis Springs, because we are in a deserty area, I feel like the surroundings doesn't really call for a very over-the-top kind of landscaping around the house. So I did try to tone it down a little bit, but there's definitely still a lot of plants around this house. But I feel like it's still, like, it suits the area. It would have been a little bit weirder if I built this on the sand, like the sandy lots that are in the other smaller area of the map. I say smaller area, but I think there's actually 5 lots in that area, so, or in that neighborhood I should say. It's the neighborhood where Johnny Cest lives by default, so that's where he has the trailer. He lives on the 40 by 30. We're not building in that neighborhood, we're building in the neighborhood below that one, but in these 2 neighborhoods there are 5 lots in each of them. So I just feel like I call them smaller neighborhoods because the lots are smaller compared to, actually they're not. There's a 40 by 30 in either of them, and I don't know, they just have smaller lots like 20 by 15s. The other neighborhood has 2 20 by 15s. This one has just this 20 by 15, I think. I think the other 2 are 30 by 20s. I could be mistaken though. But to me, they look like smaller neighborhoods. They're probably not, but they look like smaller neighborhoods. But if I'd done this sort of landscaping in the other neighborhood, so the neighborhood where Johnny Cest lives, it probably would have looked really out of place, but because we're building on these more grassy lots, I feel like it looks fine. I think the 2 lots on the other side of the road are actually sandy lots too, but I don't fully remember. Again, Oasis Springs is not really a world that I build a lot in, to be honest, but I felt like this house would just fit the area, to be honest, so I decided to go for it. It doesn't happen very often, but when I feel like building in Oasis Springs, I do it, so I don't want to pass up on that opportunity because it doesn't happen very often. But anyways, I think we are at the end of this video, so I will wrap up this voiceover now. If you guys like this house, you can download it off the gallery. My ID is AvelineYT, and you can also find it under the hashtag Aveline or AvelineYT. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!
Somehow I know you're gonna be the girl that I'll end up calling my own. We ride around in style, sleeves rolled up, glasses on. And then you make that smile and my heart starts racing when I'm with you. When I'm with you. Can't get enough of this. Being with you is like never-ending sunshine. Feels like everything stops for a while when we look into each other's eyes. How could I ever let you go now when you're looking like that? Can't get enough of this. Being with you is a never-ending sunshine. Your high heels on, and I'm wearing my worn out jeans. What could go wrong? Sipping on a beer, sing along to our favorite songs. All I want is you. You make my world spin round and round. Sometimes I don't know what to do, 'cause my heart starts racing when I'm with you.